I want to get your phone calls as to who you think should be the GOP nominee for president. 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here, live and local. And those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, I want to hear from you as well. All right? Call in. That's the best way to do it. 217-629-7970. Who do you think should be president of the United States, or at least the GOP nominee? And it's actually our question on the daily poll. If you go and check that out at WMAY.com, gives you an idea of all of the candidates in the GOP field thus far. Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Asa Hutchinson, and it looks like, it's bouncing around all over the place. Ron DeSantis was in the lead just moments ago, but now Donald Trump has taken the lead. Nobody likes Vivek Ramaswamy? Interesting. Didn't he lead to Don Lemon getting fired from CNN? So go vote at the poll, but best way to do it and get your voice heard is here on WMAY with Springfield's Morning News. We'll get those phone calls lined up, so get them in at 217-629-7970. But I wanted to share a video that Ron DeSantis' Twitter account shared yesterday. It's got over 5.5 million views right now. It's a short video, and all it does is really just has a kind of a voice overlay, and then Ron DeSantis heading into a stage-type setting, and here's how that plays out.
They call it faith because in the face of darkness, you can see that brighter future. A faith that our best days lay ahead of us. But is it worth the fight? Do I have the courage? Is it worth the sacrifice? America has been worth it every single time.
So again, has a pretty, short and sweet 30 seconds. Just showed Ron DeSantis walking towards a huge American flag. Looks like he's backstage. And then, the voiceover talking about, is it worth the fight? Ron DeSantis turns to his right. You see his profile, and then he walks towards what looks like a curtain opening up and onto what appears to be a stage. And then the text of the video shows up. It says, want more information? Text launch to 512345. And when you do that, you get a message back that says Ron DeSantis for president. So obviously he's running. So that's the latest name to get into this. I want to hear from you now at 217-629-7970. Who do you want to be the GOP nominee for president? Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. I'm right now. If I had to vote right now, I'd say Nikki Haley would be who I want to see. I want somebody that can actually win a general election, and I don't think Trump. I never voted for Trump anyway, but I don't think he can win a general election. I'm not sure DeSantis can. I want somebody that can actually win a general election. We got to get the White House back in Republican hands and bring some sanity back to this country.
So you think Nikki Haley's the one to make that happen?
Yeah. First woman president. Somebody that I think appeals across the spectrum. I think that would appeal to different groups. I think the key is. It's one thing to get the base, but you got to bring in the independents. Those are the people that decide elections, and I just think Nikki Haley could do that.
Appreciate the call, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News as we line those phone lines up. Good morning. You're on WMAY. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to vote for Ron DeSantis because he's maintaining Florida as a free state, as opposed to some of the slave states we have in this country.
What do you think of the NAACP, though, putting out a travel advisory saying don't travel to Florida? They don't care about black rights and trans rights and Disney rights and so on.
Well, a lot of them guys live in Florida. You talk about hypocrites, and they're not moving out of Florida. So that's just propaganda.
Got you down. All right. Springfield's Morning News with WMAY taking your calls on who you think should be the GOP nominee for president. Got a field that's stacking up. Tim Scott just announced he's got a lot of funding behind him. Could he possibly be a VP pick for one of the top choices in the GOP, or is he going to be the top choice? We shall see. But you've got Donald Trump in the mix. the former president of the United States. Make America great again, right? However, a lot of people, I think, are starting to see that he's just damaged goods and has a whole bunch of baggage. Apparently, his attorneys are trying to meet with the Department of Justice about unfair treatment. So if you've got that dogging you all throughout the campaign, how's that going to fare for, who ultimately is going to be the GOP nominee? Good morning. You're on WMAY. Who do you want to see be the GOP nominee?
Hey, good morning. The only two people on that have enough support or money to win a general election is going to be DeSantis or Trump on the GOP side. Trump, he got 80. He got more votes last time, especially with the Durham report coming out. He could point that he was basically targeted by law enforcement and intelligence agencies. I think that's going to get a lot of sympathy from the voters. And in all reality, all they have to do, either one of them, is start doing the absentee ballots, doing the ballot harvesting, all the legal means that the Democrats use. As soon as they implement those tactics, they've got in the bag. They've got almost every metric. But I'd like to see RFK Jr. on the Democrat ticket side, if I can throw that in.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I was just thinking about raising that, as you mentioned, all these candidates on the Republican side. Listen, there could be a primary on the Democrat side. Incumbent Joe Biden, the president, Democrat, okay, sure. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Tossing his hat in the ring, and he's got a lot to say about a whole host of things, from foreign conquest being the wrong way for America, from corporate fascism that he sees happening, to all of the health policies about individual choice and informed consent. Robert Kennedy Jr. comes from the Kennedy name, and he is a force to be reckoned with. It's interesting to see how the corporate media is downplaying Robert Kennedy, who I think could probably run circles around President Joe Biden in a debate. So will we see those debates? Probably not. Will the corporate press give him a fair shake? Probably not, but his name likely will appear on ballots across the country, so we'll be watching that space in the Democratic primary as well. I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. Let's get more of your calls. Who do you want to see be the GOP nominee? Good morning.
Good morning. I would vote for Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. What do you know about Tim Scott, other than he's a U.S. Senator?
Not a whole lot, just a little bit that I've heard. I feel it almost sounds like he's got the most common sense, and I think we are seriously in need of some common sense.
There's no question about that. Common sense is in short supply. It seems like the higher you get into the political chain, the less common sense you have.
Exactly.
I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. Let's get more of your calls. Good morning. Who do you want to see be the GOP nominee?
I got to go with DeSanctimonious.
DeSanctimonious, the nickname that Trump has given Ron DeSantis. You think that's going to stick?
I hope it sticks. I think it'll be interesting to see if he's an effective leader when he doesn't have a supermajority or because they're not going to probably have a super House and Senate, after this election. So it'll be interesting to see if he's an effective leader without having Florida behind him. But I think he has the best chance.
And one thing I think a lot of people are attracted to, at least from the Republican side of the aisle here, is that DeSantis, he doesn't shy away from taking questions from the media and quickly turning the question around and rubbing the reporter's face in it. But he does it in a different manner than Trump would do it, right? Trump would just say, "Oh, you're a fat pig," right? DeSantis would break it down and essentially say, you're asking a question from a Marxist critical theory background, which is absurd, and the American people don't like that, so please stop asking those. He'll take that type of approach, right? He'll still shoot down the question, give a substantial reason why it's a ridiculous question, and then move on. And that's a bit of finesse that while Trump was bombastic, Trump just doesn't have that.
I think McCarthy's shown good leadership as well. And I like how he can spin reporters' words and actually articulate a good response that makes sense for people to be able to follow. I think it's just too soon for him to be able to have enough name recognition and national recognition to be able to make a presidential run.
But you know what? McCarthy is third in line for the presidency right now.
Yeah, so why would he give up that for just a chance? So.
That's right. I appreciate the call. See if we can get more of your calls coming up here on WMAY. It is Springfield. We've got a few more minutes here for you to get your calls in at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. But looking at some of the comments from YouTube, you've got Greg saying Trump. DeSantis for the next time. Chuck says Trump all the way. James says DeSantis with Tulsi Gabbard as his VP. Chris, he says DeSantis. Others, King, he says that I find it interesting that since I just got into politics, other than Trump and DeSantis, the others are not really mentioned. Chuck says, let's see here, some other comments coming in. Just go check that out. You can comment here. Illinois Armory says DeSantis is the winner here. Others sound off about a variety of other political things and whether or not Trump is going to surface to the top. But I'd like to hear from you at 217-629-7970, who you think should be the Republican nominee for president. And listen, I mean, again, just to talk about the overarching issues here, you've got foreign policy, you've got the border crisis, you've got the ongoing debts that the country has to contend with, and a whole host of other issues, including the weaponization of government, which House Republicans are delving into quite a bit. How do you get that straightened out? And how do you manage heading towards an election year with all of these factors involved and even the big overarching questions of election integrity? For some reason, election integrity, it appears that only one side can raise issues. If you raise issues from another side, you get called an election denier. But there's legitimate election integrity issues, including the mail-in balloting expansion that a lot of states have increased the mail-in voting and ballot harvesting, and Republicans are trying to scramble to find out how they can take advantage of that, similar to how Democrats have taken advantage of that. But what about the independents? That's really who's going to be making the day here, right? It's those who don't side with Republicans or Democrats all the time. But even within that camp of independents, you have more conservative independents and you have more liberal independents. And even in the libertarian camp, you have more conservative libertarians and you have more liberal libertarians. So I think that group of people, the independents, those who don't subscribe to party politics, that will be going to the polls to cast a ballot. And what are they going to be swayed by? Are they going to be swayed by Ron DeSantis' war on woke, as he's even come into Illinois multiple times to talk about before his announcement? Or is it going to be somebody who's talking about, green energy and spending more tax dollars and having open borders and such? So it'll be fascinating to see how this goes. And, of course, Ron DeSantis making that announcement tonight, and that's unique on its own. It's going to be on Twitter Spaces, which is an audio platform where anybody on Twitter can pipe in and hear conversations between people. So it's going to be Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis on Twitter Spaces tonight. That's pretty bold. And then, of course, DeSantis is going to be making the rounds on all the TV shows. So it's going to be interesting. It looks like we're kicking that door wide open for the 2024 presidential election, and we'll be tracking that for you here on WMAY. It is Springfield's Morning News, now 8 o'clock.